Here's a question for you. Are teenagers more anxious today than they have been in the past? Seems like they are. And if they are, what's the reason behind it? Changing expectations, social media, culture, politics, something else?
Now, the next question is, as parents, when should we let the teens struggle through their normal angst of adolescence, and when should we start looking for help? Well, that's where this guy comes in. Dr. Wes Crenshaw is a Lawrence psychologist and author. He's also board certified in couples and family psychology and targets much of his practice on working with teens and parents. So welcome in, Dr. Wes. It's good to see you again. First question up for you. What is anxiety? What does it mean to teens?
Well, one way I think of it is you just care too much. You care too much about whatever it is you're thinking about. But the more specific definition is that you have these preoccupations with events or situations or experiences that are excessively or unrealistically worrisome. And so I always say, if you're in Colorado and you hear a noise outside your tent and it sounds like a bear's eating your food, yep, that's probably happening. If you're in Overland Park in the kitchen and you hear that noise and you're like, oh, it's that bear again, that's anxiety. So it's a normal reaction to a fear that is excessive or unrealistic.
Okay, when do we as parents not need to be worried?
Well, when children are not impaired, the whole issue with diagnosis, for what it's worth, is impairment. It's not just that you have the symptoms, it's that you cannot function. So a kid will have trouble going to school or doing a sport or performing or doing something that other kids can generally do with a little bit of butterflies in their stomach. This becomes immobilizing for kids with actual anxiety.
So, I would think that teens could be anxious about a number of things, and in your practice, what are the most common things you see teens anxious over?
Very consistently, there are two kind of anxieties we see the most, and they are not going to surprise you. Social anxiety, and that's in excess of kids just feeling self-conscious or overly worried. That's a tendency teenagers have to be constantly worried how others see them or think about. This really becomes immobilizing. And the second one is school. And there's a broad range of those things, but kids today, and sixth graders will come in and worry about what college they're going to get into. I think we have a tendency in society now to think kids are sort of, snowflakes, and they don't try very hard. And back in my day, we went to school uphill 2 ways, and it snowed all the time. Well, the truth is kids are more anxious about school and performance now because they really are asked to do a lot more than we did. We did a lot of those things in college, and they're doing them in high school studies like algebra and pre-calc and things like that. That's kind of scary for a lot of kids.
You've been in practice for more than 20 years.
It's painfully so. Yes.
Have you seen...
Thanks, Kim.
Sorry. We've been here for that long, so don't worry about it. Are you seeing more anxiety in kids? And if so, why do you think that is?
Yeah, the research even goes older than me, which is about 80 years ago. I'm nowhere close to 80 years. Thank you. But it does suggest an upward trend, and we don't know whether that's because we're seeing it more, we understand it more now, or whether it's really a greater amount of anxiety. My experience is I think there's actually more anxiety. Kids I saw 20 years ago were worried about kid things, and kids today are worried about whether an ICBM is going to fall on them, kind of like we were in the Cold War. But that's back, and worries about the just angry tone in our country. That's upsetting to kids when you hear these sort of one-offs, crazy talk we've heard in the last few weeks from bigwigs in the country. That's kind of upsetting, and kids feel like the whole ship is off the rails. Can a ship be off the rails? You know what I mean. So.
Yeah, we get your metaphor loud and clear.
I think it actually is pretty good.
Hey, Dr. West, we're going to continue this conversation here on Facebook, including your solutions to these types of issues that our teens will be facing here. So some really good information coming your way on our Facebook page. So Dr. West, great to see you again. As always, great information. And if you'd like to contact Dr. West, you can find him on Twitter. He's at Wes Crenshaw, PhD, or visit his website, drwest.com. And Dr. West, again, will be sticking around here for the rest of the hour with Abby on our Fox4 Facebook page to discuss teen anxiety. And if parents or teens have questions, just go to our Facebook page. And again, he'll start talking about those solutions, and we'll be responding live to you on Facebook. Thanks again.
Talk a lot about treatment and what we can do about these things.
Perfect. Sounds good.